A very good morning, everyone. Hope you are doing well on this fresh Monday. Thanks for joining in right now at this 3 minutes past 10 a.m. My name is Adrian. I welcome you aboard to yet this maiden webinar for the graduates with a clear question of what next after campus. A very good morning, everyone. Hope you are doing well on this fresh Monday. Thanks for joining in right now at this 3 minutes past 10 a.m. My name is Adrian. I welcome you aboard to yet this maiden webinar for the graduates with a clear question of what next after campus. I'll request you that we wait for some few people to join through. I think we shall start at around 10 minutes past 10 a.m. Our presenters, our panelists are already on board. So let's wait for some 6 minutes only. We shall be kicking off this webinar up to midday. Thanks very much. Welcome aboard. I'll return in 6 minutes. I'll request you that we wait for some people to join through. I think we shall start at around 10 minutes past 10 a.m. Our presenters, our panelists are already on board. So let's wait for some 6 minutes only. We shall be kicking off this webinar up to midday. Thanks very much. Welcome aboard. I'll return. once again. Good morning, everyone who is on this call for yet this fresh Monday. My name is Kakinda Adrian, your host this morning. This is a webinar for the graduates organized to answer their questions on what happens after campus. Very many people may have gone through the experience of studying at the university, but very few programs are there to help our graduates transition favorably from the campus to the world of work or the outside world, actually outside the institutions. That's why psychology department, we thought it very pertinent that our students who are countrywide need some basics on when it comes to transition, from the university life to the world of work. So there are various questions, but there are very few answers so far. So very many students will agree with me that it's not just a cake to chew, but something very challenging, with mixed feelings, with mixed reactions. And by the end of the day, it causes some bit of emotional breakdown. So that's why we thought it very, very favorably that, let's organize something for our graduates. That's why I started by congratulating all graduates from other universities, Chambogo University in particular, or inclusive, and welcome to this session. This session is going to be a life-changing one, trying to draw answers, trying to bring out answers to resonate with if we want to transition favorably when it comes to life after campus. So it's feel free to join in, feel free to invite other people to join the call. Yes, I know they are still joining. We shall keep admitting them as we continue. We can't wait any longer because of the limited time and the busy schedule of our panelists. So allow me to start this webinar today in this kind of fashion. I welcome everyone. I welcome you once again for this wonderful webinar this morning, and everyone on this call. All right, I will start by informing you that we are having a webinar called Transition After Campus. What happens next? It's one of the biggest questions. The big question today we are yet to answer is what next after campus? What happens after campus? I think these are some of the very questions to parents of graduates and to graduates themselves. So our panelists will answer this question, and I do believe by the end of the day, 1 or 3 or 10 or thousands of people who share this call would have got something positive to take home and maybe to start away when it comes to getting what would be next. So that's the big question we are grappling with, and I think by around midday, yes, we shall be in good terms when it comes to answering this question for very many people. It's very surprising that even some people who graduated earlier on, they are still wandering around with this same question. What happens, especially in this world, which is very competitive, which doesn't accept any average person? All right, so that's the question, our question today. And I would say that I would love to start this session with a word of prayer. Will I say any volunteer? You can unmute yourself. You give us an opening prayer. Feel free to pray for us for this wonderful Monday. It's a new month. It's a new week in this new October. So anyone who is holy, yes, you can feel free to unmute yourself and give us a word of prayer. I'm waiting.
Our kind and loving Father, we thank you for having kept us ever since our birth up to now. Thank you for bringing us to school, and thank you for keeping us alive up to this moment, despite the health constraints that have now existed. Thank you for providing school fees, and thank you for giving life for our lecturers who guide us. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Hope someone has said amen too. Perfect. Hope I'm loud and clear. Someone say yes, you clear.
Yes, you're clear.
Thanks. Thanks very much. All right. Today, allow me. I'll be your moderator. Today. My name is Kakinda Adrian Ivan. I'm from the Department of Psychology of Kyambogo University, the CEO of Adrian Careers Consult. I'm the current head of advocacy of Uganda Counseling Association. That's my contact attached on that slide. So I'm not the main speaker today. Allow me to introduce us. Our first panelist today is called Mr. Tim Sabiti. Mr. Tim Sabiti is our first panelist. Someone should mute phone because it's causing some bit of feedback this side. All right, our first panelist is Mr. Tim Sabiti. I think he's not yet on call, but Mr. Tim Sabiti is called Timothy Sabiti, commonly known as Tim Sabiti. He's a Ugandan entrepreneur, author, broadcaster, life, personal development, leadership, and business strategist or coach. Tim's passion is helping business owners succeed at the highest of levels. His unique ability to think outside the box makes him a popular speaking figure, and his on-stage energy ensures high energy and rich content. His interactive strategic sessions, where he guarantees to solve business-related problems on the spot, are a sight to behold. Clients who book Tim Sabiti for a keynote speech, workshop, or executive retreat benefit from a powerful, engaging, game-changing education experience, which is masterfully tailored to the client's situation and need. So Tim Sabiti is going to be, actually, Mr. Tim Sabiti is joining right now. And by the time he's joining, I'm trying to read his biography or profile to the entire people on this call. I forgot to tell you that we are also live on YouTube channel. The YouTube link has been shared all over. I'm also going to share it here so that you can extend it to the people who find it hard to join through the Zoom call. Again, with Mr. Tim Sabiti, just like I was saying, that is our first panelist today. He is respected as a uniquely distinguished top life, business, and leadership authority who can ignite and strengthen a leader's inner self and talents, which enables them to realize 4 game-changing outcomes that they can leverage in their business and life: altruism, affiliation, achievement, and abundance in their business as seeds to achieving sustained greatness and creating lasting legacy. Tim Sabiti is a powerfully engaging, internationally acclaimed keynote speaker and top executive coach. Whether Tim is keynoting an event, conducting a retreat, or coaching an executive, he has earned a reputation for possessing a special ability that unlocks and unleashes greatness in leaders at all levels. Lastly, his thought leadership combined with his passion, energy, and authenticity on the platform are described as unmatched. I repeat, unmatched, and have earned him great reviews from listeners and clients, from CEOs and government leaders to corporate at every level, and from serial entrepreneurs to startups. Learn the secret to unlocking and unleashing your leadership greatness, experience the unmatched thought leadership, passion, energy, authenticity of Tim Sabiti on this platform. I'm very, very humbled. He is a constant student of life and business, which is at the heart of his seemingly jet-fueled success. Welcome, Mr. Tim Sabiti. Probably you can say hi to the people on this call. Mr. Tim Sabiti, are you there?
Yes, I hope you can hear me. I'm trying to wave here.
Yes, we can hear you.
What an introduction. Thank you so much, Mr. Kakinda. I appreciate.
All right, thanks very much for joining this call. Our second panelist on this morning is called Mrs. Alice Damulila, the co-director of St. Mark's College in Namagoma, is already on this call. What a wonderful profile from Mrs. Alice Damulila, is the co-director, just like I've said, of St. Mark's College in Namagoma, a high-quality boarding secondary school 10 miles on Kampala Masaka Road. I think one of you must have heard about St. Mark's College in Namagoma. She holds a Bachelor of Arts degree majoring in literature, a postgraduate diploma in education, and a master's degree in literature from Makerere University. In addition, she has attended a number of seminars and workshops in human resource management, administration, and leadership around the world. She is a leader and teacher by profession and vocation. Perfect. That's very amazing. All right. She is a professional teacher, just like I've said, and a human resource specialist, having worked in a multicultural environment at the International Committee of the Red Cross for 15 years as the head of human resource. Now she is working in her own establishment as a director with over 131 employees. The acquired skills empower her with a wealth of experience in leadership. She is polished in the application of modern leadership methods such as staff motivation and involvement in both decision-making and target setting, clarity in communication and good interpersonal relations, mentoring and training of staff recruitment and implementation of institutional policies. She is a certified John Maxwell leadership coach, trainer, and mentor. Given her career path as a teacher and human resource specialist, she is aware of what it takes to empower someone to become the best version of themselves. Voluntary service organization. She was a board member of Mukungu for Werinde Insurance Services, Buganda Kingdom, up from August 2020 to date. She is a chairperson of the board of concern for the Girl Child. She is a vice chairperson, head of Laite Kanyanya Parish from 2018 to date. She is a chairperson of the finance committee and member of the diocesan West Buganda Diocese from 2017 to date. Vice chairperson, School of Management Committee, Gayaza Junior School from 2017 to date. She was a president in our Club of Mengo from 2015 to 2016. Chief Warden of St. Paul's Church Kanyanya from 2014 to date, and head of the Mothers Union Married Women's Fellowship for 8 years at St. Paul's Church, 2006-2014. Welcome aboard, Mrs. Alice Damulila. You can open your microphone and your video and say hi to the people on this call.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to be here this morning. Thank you so much for the invitation, Mr. Kakinda.
Wonderful. Lastly, our panelist is called Mr. Gaston Biamugisha. This is our own in Kyambogo University. He's a lecturer, a married man, and a counseling psychologist, and the immediate past president of Uganda Counseling Association. He is an entrepreneur and is also joining us on call. Mr. Gaston, if you're there, you can say hi to the people on this call.
Hello, Adrian. Good morning.
All right, thanks very much. All right, I think I would say welcome to this call organized by Department of Psychology. The head of department will be joining in very soon, but those are the courses we have from Kyambogo University or at Kyambogo University, from the diploma, bachelor's, and some master's courses. For those who are applying currently, you can tap on those people who have just joined, who have just completed their senior 6 to join the world of mental health by taking on these life-changing programs at the Department of Psychology, found in the Faculty of Education of Kyambogo University. All right, I would say welcome aboard. Allow me to do that, and I want to welcome Mr. Tim Sabiti, to start us off with this wonderful webinar. The biggest question we are having: what happens after campus? What happens after campus? Very many young people on this call are wondering what will happen. Mr. Tim Sabiti, you are a co-host now. The floor is yours. Welcome aboard and start us off. Mr. Tim, your microphone is muted.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
I would like to be sure if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you. My name is Tim Sabiti.
Mr. Tim, we are not hearing you. I don't know what could be the problem. Probably maybe the network.
Okay. I don't know.
Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Hello, Mr. Tim. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are hearing.
Yes, I can hear you, Kakinda. I can hear you loud and clear.
Some people are saying they can hear him. Okay, you can continue. Probably maybe it's mine this side. You continue, Mr. Tim. People are saying they can hear you.
Okay.
Mr. Kakinda, maybe you need to mute first, then you can hear him speak.
Okay. I hope I'm loud and clear. I'm using headphones, so I'm not so sure, but I assume that at least you can hear me. My name is Tim Sabiti, and I'm really, really happy to be on this webinar. I appreciate you, Mr. Kakinda, for the efforts to organize this. I believe it's value addition to this generation. I believe that if we continue with this spirit, we will change our world, we will change this generation. We will help our world to become a better place. I believe that these young chaps need us. They need to hear from you. They need to hear from people like me. Hello?
Yes, you're clear.
I'm clear. Okay. Probably the other members, if they could mute their microphones, it would really help. Hello? Hello?
Michael, mute your microphone.
Oh, thank you. I think it's better now. I would say that this generation needs people like me to share our story, to share our experience, to help them. They need to be guided. And this is the only way we'll be able to change our world. This is the only way we'll be able to affect them for the better, to influence them, challenge them, and cause them to become better citizens. Now, the question here is about what next after campus. Of course, so many of us will quickly respond by saying, then you face the world. I mean, after campus, then you face the world, however fierce and however tough the world may look. Why? Because then in our tradition, in our upbringing, we assume that when you're done with campus, the next thing is that you have to go out there and find for yourself a balance to life. And then through the education system, the next thing is find a job and find ways to survive. In other words, or in short, is you begin to take up responsibility. That's what the world will expect you to do. That's what we will expect you to become, a responsible person. But the question is, how do we transition from a life of books into a world where we have to make ends meet, where we have to pay the bills, where we have to work and sustain ourselves? without being helped by our parents, without being helped by our uncles and extended family. How do we handle that? How do we survive? Because I mean, through the education system, most especially here, if you realize there's certain things that the education system does not give you, that does not help you with. I mean, most of the things that you learn in school, when you get into the field, are totally different. You almost like begin. It's like you start a life that is completely strange and new, not anyhow linked. Okay, a bit linked to a few things that you may have studied in school, but majority is just new, very new. I mean, you have to learn how to make relationships. You have to learn how to deal with people. You have to learn how to deal with terrible characters, people that may never ever, you know what, you then get to know what it means to be betrayed, you know, rejected, and etc. and etc. So the question is how and where do you actually begin after campus? Now, one of the things that I thought about is your ability to at least have a skill, learn one skill, at least a skill. In school, we are more theory based, most especially here in Uganda. We're more theory based. So a lot of what we get from school is more of pumping of theory after theory after theory. But you realize that any employer you're going to go to will be looking for value addition. Any employer you will approach is looking for someone that can bring some sort of value to the table. Now, the only way you bring value to the table is if you have at least a skill that is dependable, something that you have learned to do, something that you can execute, something that you can do, something that can bring value to your employers. Any employer today, and most especially the last, call it about 2, 3, 4, 5 years, a lot has changed in the job market. A lot has really, really changed. The last 2 years it's been worse because of the pandemic. It's been very, very bad. Everything has totally changed. And guess what? It's even changing the more. Where we are going is going to even be worse. It's going to be worse, you know? So any employer today is looking for someone who has a skill, someone that is hands-on. I mean, that does not mean that the time you were at school was wasted. No, you did well to go to school. It's good that you have that qualification, but that qualification, trust me, needs a backing of a skill. You need a skill to help you front life. You need a skill that will help you sell you even the more. Now, I will tell you, from my place of work, I happen to manage. I'm a director of 3 radio stations here in Uganda and a TV station. And across Africa, I have radio stations that I run in Ghana and even in the South Sudan. But I will tell you, as an employer, for the last 10 to 15 years, I've only been looking for one thing, a skill. Because a skill distinguishes you. A skill sets you aside. A skill helps you or introduces you. It's a faster way of introducing you into the work arena. Trust me, no one wants to waste time having someone seated at a table doing nothing. Reporting at office at 8 and leaving at 5, I would rather that you report, work for 2 hours, but give me value. I would rather that you come into my workspace and I can see tangible results. So any employer anywhere is looking for value. And where we are going, it's even worse. It's toughening, it's becoming harder and harder. So my number one point to you who's just finished university, at least get a skill, learn something, train yourself and become good at it. Now I'll tell you something. Every human being alive today has a deposit that is godly. There is something that God deposited in every human being. And it is that God deposited in you that will open up doors for you. It is called a talent. Everyone has a talent. Everyone alive today was created special with at least one skill. Some are created and have multiple, but at least there is one thing that you can do very well. The problem comes in between you being able to start on this journey and discovering yourself, learning or unlearning, or getting to the place where you can be sure, very sure and absolutely sure to say that this is one thing that I know I can do well. Now, I usually call it passion in my classes where I teach about small startups. I call it passion. The reason as to why I call it passion is it's something that you do effortlessly. It's something that you do not have to be pushed to do. You do it because you love it. Some people do it even when they are not paid a penny to do it. Why? Because they love what they are doing. It is like it is the calling of God upon their lives. It's like they were created for that particular reason. It is something that distinguishes them from everything else. Now, that does not mean that the qualification, and I insist, that does not mean that the qualification that you got from your school is null and void. No. You did well to go to school. You did well to get that qualification. But I can assure you, you need to tap into that passion and make it alive. You need to tap into that one thing that you know can do well, effortlessly. Now, while mentoring most of the young men and young women that I've come close to, I've always helped them unearth their passions. I've always helped them to come alive when it comes to their passions, because I know we waste a lot of time doing everything else other than what we can do best. Why? Because our education systems, okay, have pushed us a certain line, a certain way, and that's why I'll tell you personally. I'm a living example. When I went to university, I studied civil engineering. I did civil engineering for 7 years. I mean, I did all the maths, I did all this physics, and I did all this, but I have never ever worked as a civil engineer. I did that because my brother was a civil engineer. I admired him. I liked what he was doing. Probably it was his calling. Probably that's what he was set aside to do. But that was not me. I did it simply because he did it. So I wasted my good 4 years in university doing civil engineering. And after that, I could not follow that because my passion was completely different. When I discovered who I am, I never wasted time. I followed my passion, and my passion paid. Now, I'll tell you, your passion will pay. Your passion will never lie. That passion will develop a skill. That skill is what people pay for because it is the value. It is the value that we all need. What are you bringing on the table? Okay, when you're done with university, after you've done so well. Next thing you have to look for is one thing that sets you apart. Develop a skill, tap into the inner you, bring out that passion, and try to follow it relentlessly. Follow it with all your heart. Personally, I was giving you my example. I wasted I would call it, because at a certain point I had some regrets where I felt like I wasted 4 years because science is not an easy thing. I felt like at that point, I felt like I wasted time. Later on, I decided, no, I did not waste time. Well, I had some other advantages to that qualification of civil engineering, but my passion was completely different. And when I started following my passion, results started coming. I started seeing results, and I'm a better man today. I have no regrets today. So my number one is develop a skill. It is that skill that brings value to the table. It is that value that you bring on the table that will put money into your pocket. There is a young man, I'm not so sure if he's on this webinar. I tried to put up a poster on my WhatsApp, and some of them were like, they would want to join and be part of it. Probably he is listening or is watching. This young man, I employed him while he was still at university because he had a skill. He was a veterinary doctor. You can imagine, a veterinary doctor, but he was so special with creative arts, very good at creative arts. I mean, creative arts to mean so good with designs and stuff like that. So someone told me that there's this young man who is in university as a vet, but he's so good with creative arts. How can you help him? Now, being a radio and a TV person, I quickly reached out to the young man. I hired him when he was, I think, either second or third year at the university. That's when I hired him, while he was still at university. I hired him to just do only one thing, the creative arts. Why? Because he was so good at it. He had a skill. Now, when I hired him and he started, because he was in a vet school, but truthfully speaking, it was created for something different. I introduced him to this and I encouraged him because he was doing a great job, very good job. Later on, when he finished university, he joined my company and started working for me. When he started working for me, he earned more money than he had ever envisioned even to make from his professional as a veterinary doctor. As we speak right now, got to a point where he actually outgrew me, became quite too expensive for me to afford, and he moved on to other television companies, and he started his own company. He's making quite a lot of money from wherever he is. But the thing here is he had a skill right from university. He's never practiced his profession as a vet. He is into something completely different, and it's paying him so well. So well, the other day I was saying was even being featured on CNN, on international platforms. A very young man, I don't think he's even made 28 years. Could be like about 27 or, okay, roughly about 28 years. But he's making very good money. Why? Because he had a skill that could introduce him into the job arena, the job market, and he's making money. He's okay, he's well. So I encourage everyone watching today, most especially you who's just gotten out of university. There's something so good about you that you just need to tap into and put to full use and do it well. The moment you do that, trust me, no regrets. You will be able to make it in this job market. Number two, that I want to talk about is what I would call relationships. I have learned the power of relationships. And when I talk about relationships, I mean, you don't have to look 1,000 kilometers away or even 10 miles away from where you are. The most important relationships that have changed in my life are people that are seated 0 inch from where I am. Now, some of these people may not have what it takes to help me move from level A to level B. But they could be knowing someone that knows someone that can bring the value that I'm looking for. Now, I value relationships so much. I never look at how much they can afford, but I look at how much they can affect me, how they can influence me, and how they can bring value into my life. And those are the relationships that have changed me. Just think about it. Probably the woman you married was someone you went to school with, or someone that was in the neighborhood. Think about it. Think about the people that have brought immense value, great value into your life, and not people that are very, very far. So value every relationship that you have. Value every that you think is meaningful relationship. Of course, some of you make relationships that are terrible, relationships that just land you into trouble. I'm talking about relationships that can impact you the right way. Don't despise that guy, don't despise that girl, don't despise that person in your life. You never know how they will influence your life. You can never know how they will contribute to your journey. I can assure you, from my partners that I have, are people that I met 20, 30, 40 years ago. 20 plus years ago. Some of them we met in fellowship, in a scripture even somewhere. Some of them we went with them to school. Now, at that point, they did not bring any value. I could not see the tangible value. But the power of keeping a relationship, some of you guys are so bad, you can never keep a friend even for a week, not even for a month. You have new friends every day, and you don't mind burning bridges. Wherever you go, you're just like a hurricane. You havoc You know, wherever you go, you just only burn and burn and burn and go away and move away. And you never mind looking back. Some of you can never even say sorry, even when you know you've hurt someone. Now, I have learned the value of relationships. And relationships have impacted my life so much. Most of what I have earned has come from the relationships. I can assure you, my business partners are people that I did not meet yesterday. As I said, some of them we met when we had 0 shillings, when we were still sharing a plate of food, when we could not even afford transport from point A to point B, you know, where we actually just survived. But I value those relationships, valued them so much, and today they are paying back very well. So value the people that God brings into your life. Value the people that God introduces to you. You can never know why God introduced those people into your life. Treat them well, handle them well. You will never ever know when that relationship will start to pay back. Now, number 2, still in the area of relationships, okay, learn even to make friendships in places that are above you. I usually use the example of, you need someone that is better than you need someone that is at your level, and you need someone who can look up to you, someone you give a hand. So it's like a three in one. Someone better than you, someone who can do a lot better than you can do, someone who can give you a hand when you are sinking, someone who is more knowledgeable than you. Some of you hate people who are more knowledgeable than you. You hate people that are better than you. Now, learn to make friends with people that are actually better than you. So you need someone who is better than you, but you also need someone who is at your level. Now, the reason why I need someone at my level is he understands my language. When I am in lack and I tell them I'm in lack, they listen to me, they give me all the attention, and they understand exactly what I'm going through. When they throw me out of the house because of rent, when I go to them and tell them, man, I need a place to stay for at least a week as I figure out my next move. You know why? Because my landlord has thrown me out of the house. They'll be able to understand very well what you're going through. When I tell them I'm having an empty stomach, they'll listen to me, they'll understand, and they'll be there for me. Now, that kind of person at your level is very necessary. Now, you also need someone that you give a hand, someone that looks up to you, who calls you papa, who looks at you as the man leading the way, who can run to you and tell you, I'm going through this, I need help. Now, all that balance helps you a lot. Now, the person that is better than you will always introduce you to better things, will always challenge you, will always usher you into being a better person. When you look at him and you admire, when you look at him and you see things about him that would change your life, then you're inspired to work hard, you're inspired to read, you're inspired to do a lot more. So you push yourself more because it's better than you. And as I've explained, the person who is at your level is someone who understands your language. When you cry, they cry with you. When you're in trouble, they understand your pain and they'll give you all the attention, they'll be there for you. The person who is below you, will always give them a hand, and that will always inspire you into better things. So that's the power of relationships. Now, on the relationships again, you've just finished university, and I want you to hear me well. There's someone who needs to someone needs to mute their microphone. Okay, I hope you can hear me now. When it comes again to relationships, there's another area that I want to tackle. Now, I've been in universities doing trainings. Mami Kakinda knows we've done a lot of work at Chambogo University, Nkosi University, and so many other universities. There is this saying that if a girl leaves university without a man, she's doomed. She will never find. She will never find a mate, or she will never get married. I don't know where they got that lie, and I don't know who actually started that. It is a lie. I would actually, if you're a girl and you're listening to me and you've just finished university, I will tell you, right now is not the right time to be busy about a romantic relationship. And the same thing applies to a guy. To a guy, again, it's even worse. But for a girl, if possible, go slow on anything to do with romantic relationships if you are just starting your career. Now I have so many victims. So many girls have dropped their careers simply because of a jealousy boyfriend. And guess what? The so-called jealousy boyfriend never even marries you. She's jealousy because you got a job you're supposed to be working up country, so you have to drop the job simply because you want to please him. You know, simply because you have this nice figure, you have that shape, the way you people call it. It's a beautiful shape. Every time you walk out of the house and you're going somewhere to work, he thinks you're going to meet a guy. You know, so everything is in jeopardy. It's simply because you started off your career with something that takes you off focus. That does not give you room to build your career. Now, that does not mean that you don't fall in love. But probably in these first years as you're trying to settle in, just help yourself not to be so quick. If you can find the right guy, if you can find the right relationship, someone who will not abuse you, someone who will love you, if you find that one, it is okay. I mean, it is healthy, it is fine. But so many girls have ended up in abusive relationships, and some of them have dropped their careers, they have dropped their jobs, they have dropped everything about them simply because a guy is jealousy. Think about it. Doors have started opening for you. Probably you're supposed to work in Gulu. The guy is in Kampala, and he calls you every day thinking that you're in bed with another guy. You can never stay long on that job. Why? Because you want to save a relationship, only to save the relationship and lose the guy to another girl. So be careful, most especially you are already in love or you are falling in love, because I know, I mean, in this day and age, you guys, by senior six, some of you have been, your hearts have been broken 10 times. You've been in multiple relationships. So this I say just as a caution, but I know that most of you have already been in relationships, several relationships, but I can assure you, it's one of those few that actually bury our careers when we're not careful. The same thing even applies to a guy. You know, I mean, you're trying to impress a guy, but you don't have the money. You know, and to you guys, the boys, I don't know, I would actually discourage you as a young man. You can't be looking for transport to walk around Chipugo. You're looking everywhere for a job, and you have someone at home who is expecting you to come back with food. Right now, survival for the fittest. It's better that you forget about romance, you forget about love, and first make the money. You know, for us guys, we have to pay almost everything. The only thing that God saved us, we don't pay for the air that we breathe, but almost everything that we have, we pay for it. So I would discourage a young man who's just finished university. I would discourage them. The young man, I would completely discourage you from getting into a relationship right now. Right now is the time to look for money, because the girl is coming into your life, you will need the money. If you don't have it, she'll walk out on you. She'll just break your heart. Make the money. So that is the bit about the relationship. Now, the relationships. Now, my next is about purpose. Now, I talked about a skill earlier. I talked about value addition, okay, but purpose is really key. Who are you? What do you want to be in the next 5 years? What are you doing right now about the next 5 years of your life? I remember I made resolutions when I finished school. I was not guided by anyone, but I after working in several places, I got to a point and I hated certain things. One of them is being the slave that I never wanted to be. I never wanted to be someone else's slave. Sometimes I look at employment as slavery, because someone is more like paying you a bribe to make them rich. It sounds so bad. It sounds terrible, but that's how it's almost like. I mean, someone is giving you something to make themselves rich. I knew I would never get rich. I would never get rich working for someone. So I gave myself targets. And that's why I'm talking about purpose. I think purpose is my last contribution. Now, what purpose does, it defines you and defines the next few years of your life, I say to myself that I do not want to work for anyone by the time I turn 35. I repeat, I said, I do not want to work for anyone by the time I turn age 35. I made it part of my purpose, part of my vision. I said, by the time I turn 35, I don't want to work for anyone. Now, look at this. Within 25 and 35, I achieved it. I remember the last discussion I had with my boss. I told him I either become the business partner or I quit. He looked at me and laughed because he thought it was a joke, but I was so serious. Now, he wanted me so much because I gave him a lot of value. But he also took time and thought about everything that I had told him. And he said, so what do you have that you bring on the table for you to become a business partner? Good question. Remember, I made this resolution when I was 25. So everything that I did between 25 and 35, I had to bring me to that place where I am no one's employee. I want to do my own things. Now, whatever that I brought in at that time was motivation enough for this gentleman, because then it was my skill sets, okay, and a little bit of my capital that I brought to the table. And he said, I think I like your guts. I think I like you. So at that point, we ceased being employer-employee to a partner. Now, it doesn't matter how many shares I was able to buy at that time, but I ceased to work for him. We had to sit on the table and talk as partners, as business partners. From that time on to now, a lot has changed about my life. When I look back, I give God the glory and the thanks that at least they helped me find purpose when I was still young. 25, I made resolutions, and that 10 years later, I saw it come to pass. Today I'm in my 40s. Looking back, I'm like, thank you, God. If I did not dream, if I did not have purpose, probably I would still be in employment somewhere. You know, still waiting for a salary at the end of the month, still waiting for someone to give me a handout. You know, as you speak right now, I can choose to sleep from morning up to morning. I can choose to stay home and I do not work, but I will still earn. I encourage you, young man that's listening. My points were just 3. I have several more other points, but these were my 3 points. Hello? 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 Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Those were my 3 points. And I hope whoever was listening can be helped or can pick something that will help them start off from somewhere. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. A round of applause to you, Mr. Tim Sabiti, for that wonderful brief about trying to answer this question of what happens next after campus. I was very fascinated with your point, actually the last point about relationships. And I know you as someone who has helped very many people to redefine their relationships. That one, I would say, well done. So with the relationships, it's quite a very big question. Now, I have my boss on this call, Dr. Chibedi Henry. Are you hearing me? You would say hi to the people on call before I call in the second presenter. Dr. Chibedi, probably, maybe he's not is on, but probably maybe he's having some few challenges here and there. All right, thanks, Mr. Tim Sabiti. I think I'll pick on comments after the other presenters so that we can have a QA at the end of this webinar. Thanks very much. It's now 11 a.m. East African Standard Time. Allow me to welcome Mrs. Alice Damulira. For those who have just joined in, she's a co-director of St. Mark's College in Namagoma. She's an human resource specialist and a teacher by profession. The floor is yours, Mrs. Alice Damulira. We want to hear from you on answering the same question. What happens after campus? Welcome. Dr. Henry, are you there? You can unmute yourself and greet the people on the call. Before Mrs. Alice come through. Yes, doctor, how are you doing? Probably, maybe he's having some issues with connectivity. All right, Mrs. Alice, over to you. I think I'll invite Dr. later.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kakinda, for that kind introduction and inviting me on this call. And thank you so much, Mr. Sabiti, for that wonderful sharing. When you talked about relationships, you reminded me of what we usually tell our students, that kingmakers don't look like kings. And probably they never become kings anyway. So probably you're a king in the making, and somebody who is next to you are ignoring them, but actually they're modeling you to become a king. I want some advice before I proceed. Do I make the presentation, the whole presentation, in regard to what I was asked to talk about? And then we can have the Q&A. I just need guidance on this.
Yes, go on.
Okay, great.
You will make the presentation. We shall have the Q&A later.
Okay, because I did not see the provision for sharing my screen, so it is okay. I'll just go ahead and make the presentation. I was asked to talk about dealing with pressures to marriage from the girls' perspective and post-graduation girls, and post-graduation, the problems that girls face. Much has been said in this regard, and one of the things that actually struck me is how people, by senior 6, people have had multiple relationships. But I'll tell you, those experiences that you go through are like a chisel. And each time you're engaging in a relationship, something is taken away from you. And it's always to remind ourselves, when we're talking about values or a strong value system, these are things that are inculcated in you. And you have to make that decision before actually you are presented with that situation. So I want to encourage the girls on call, even the boys themselves. 1, define your values. Because at the end of the day, these values inform us of who you are. You attract who you are and not what you want. Many times girls will say, I want a man who is like this and this, when actually they fall far short from the expectations of the person they would want to get married to. So define your values. And I'll give you an example. My values are diligence, integrity, commitment, and excellency. I work diligently. Integrity encompasses my spiritual standing. I'm committed to what I do, and excellence is not an option for me. So the value that you place on yourself is the value that the world will place on you. The world can never give you a higher price when actually you have priced yourself lowly. So place a very high value on yourself by doing that which calls for that kind of value. Do not be pressured by others, because it always comes at a cost. Count the cost. If you're dealing with pressures to marriage, is that the right person you want to get married to? At one time, somebody asked me, this was a reverend, he said, are girls interested in weddings or they're interested in marriages? So it is important. Don't be pressured. So many things are happening. And I like what Mr. Sabiti said. If you are 25, if you are 24, 23, life is just starting. And yes, in my day, 23 and 24, 25, you'd be celebrated for getting married. But now things are actually changing. We need to pursue our careers. Then associations matter. Make friends with whom you share the same values. Because whoever wants to support you for marriage is going to look at your associates. What kind of people are you associating with? Because the choices you make will make you. Our friends help us to make the right choices because we have the same values. The other thing that I would want to bring to the table is the biggest currency in any transaction, be it marriage, be it your work, whatever it is your character. I would want to tell the girls on call, the boys on call, each one of us, that marriage is serious business. It is not something that we are going to walk in and walk out. So it is very important to look at it as a serious project that is profitable. You have to make profits when you actually get there. You are not in there because you're testing the waters. You are in there because it's a life commitment. Many people think that if I walk in and fail, I'll walk out. But you will easily say that if you have not met somebody who has gone through a divorce and the pain they have experienced. So look at marriage as a lifetime commitment. And the biggest currency you're going to trade here is your character. So character will stand for your credibility. It will stand for the habits that you have formed, your attitude, your resilience, your actions, your compassion, timeliness, excellency, and results. That's my acronym for character. So the components of a successful marriage that define a larger part of our life. We are only 25 years. We've lived only 25 years. But if we walk into that marriage and you're going to live to be 100, my dear, you're going to be there for 75 years. So it is better if we plan right so that we can be able to profit ourselves, but even the people, our own children, our spouses, and our larger families. The other thing that is also very critical when we are looking at the pressures to get married, it will say that there is a will of life. The will of life talks about our spirituality. It talks about our family. It talks about our emotional lives. It talks about our financial lives, our social lives, our physical welfare, our mental and intellectual growth, and our professional lives. And as we walk into marriage, we have to juggle all this, put it on perspective and purpose to invest in ourselves. So it is very key. Do not mount to any pressure for marriage. Prepare yourself for this institution. It's an institution with its rules, with its boundaries. So it is important that as we think about marriage, we are well prepared to get into this institution because it affects us for the greater part of our lives. The other aspect I was asked to talk about is work etiquette for girls at new jobs. Mr. Sabit has said it well. What skills are you bringing to the table? And I want to say this. All bosses reward diligence, and this is in the extra mile. No boss is going to keep you as a poor performer. You should purpose to execute every task excellently. I want to tell the girls, avoid the myth that sleeping with your boss will help you to keep that job. It will not. The moment, there is a way that men get around with girls. They will do certain things, but they'll be quick to dump you. One time somebody told me that for them, what they do is that there if I do, there if I don't. So if it is Jen today, after I'm done with Jen, it will be next. Who is the next person? So they have their lineup. So this is not going to help you keep the job. It is the skills and the competences that you have that will help you keep the job. Everybody is looking out for performers. Yes, credentials are very critical, and that is our starting point. That is our foundational block. But going forward, we need more than just academic credentials. I would encourage girls, even before you get the job, opportunities, always meet those who are prepared well. Learn as much as you can. If you happen to get a first employer, if you happen to go for internship, because no one is willing to pay for your mistakes. The employment world rewards mastery. Have a great attitude towards learning. If you have somebody who is willing to teach you, I usually tell people that encourage yourself to have a tough boss. When you have a tough boss and they push you hard, they stretch you, you will shoot not only at excellency, you will not shoot only at success, but you will shoot at significance. So pursue to polish your skills and competencies. because everybody needs more from you than just your academic credentials. I've already addressed character, but I would want to tell you that we are hired for our qualifications, and this has been my experience as a human resource person. We are hired for our qualifications, but we are hired for our character. So it is important that you build your character in the workplace. The other thing to take note that the first job will not pay you highly, but your investment in acquiring skills and competences will earn you the job that you crave for. Purpose to unlearn, purpose to learn, and purpose to relearn. Always carry a learning mindset. Learn and learn and learn and learn. Never stop learning. Have a lifestyle of learning. In addition, I would also want to mention that we are creatures of habit. What do you want to see going forward? Somebody has shared that they wanted to see themselves self-employed at 35. What do you want to see? Have clear goals and work towards them. Instead of seeing obstacles, see opportunities. If you are given work that is seemingly hard, find your way about how you are going to navigate and do that work. By the time you are through with that work, it will have empowered you with a skill or two that you'll be able to take on more. So it takes time to bring value to the marketplace. We usually say that you need 1,000 hours, 10,000 hours to gain mastery. But when you commit one day at a time, you will realize that your transformation is going to be evident. The other thing, as we are working and pursuing our careers, conviction and convenience do not live on the same block. You are not going to enjoy the ability to get into that job or that workspace before you actually invest. You cannot gain success comfortably. There is always a price to pay. So you need hindsight, and that is from your experiences. What experiences have you undergone so that it can give you insight and wisdom to be able to engage and understand the current trend of things? This is where we need deep insight, and this informs our foresight as we make the next steps in our lives. So the other thing is also, it matters who is informing your decision. Whom are you inquiring from as you make the next steps in life, as you pursue your career? Your success is your obligation. I wouldn't want to hear you say, so-and-so made me fail at my job. I left that job because so-and-so was hard on me. No, your success is your obligation. Do not think that everybody is going to carry you. Nobody is going to get a carrier, a baby's carrier for you so that you can be able to get what you want. You cannot gain success conveniently. The job search as a girl child. So the girl child, we're always challenged when it comes to jobs. That's what people perceive, but I don't think that it's actually the truth. It's also another myth that's very difficult for girls to get jobs. And because that people also have this myth that when you're getting the job, somebody will make you do something that you don't want. But I told you that your value system will help you make the right decisions before any situation occurs. Before there is anything that happens, you will have informed yourself of the decision that you would take when a challenge arises. But as we do the job search as girls, well, let's remember that our dress code is critical. Dress the way you want to be addressed. You cannot choose to dress anyhow when you're doing your job search. You should accord yourself the respect that when people see you, appearance rules the world. When they see you, they should be willing to engage you. So opportunity meets preparation. That's the other thing as we're doing our job search. Let's prepare, even as we're looking for those jobs. You find a child or a girl child who is told, please send me an email. And somebody does not know even how to send the emails and is asking for help when somebody says, send me an email. How prompt are you in doing that? Improve your language, the language that you use. For example, if you're going to sit in an interview, how are you addressing the panelists? What kind of impressions are you creating of those who are interviewing you? The presentations of your CV, make the most of the information explosion. There is so much information. There are so many online free courses that we can actually use to be able to better ourselves. There are so many free talks that you could listen into and pick a thing or two. So pick what suits you for the season. You are doing a job search. Empower yourself for the opportunity that may arise. So the power is in the doing. Be a part of the game. Manage your time well. This is your greatest resource. I want to encourage all the young people on the call. Do not waste time. When you are 23 or 24, you get this impression that you have a lot of time, but you don't have time. The world is on a roller coaster. Things are happening so fast. So you have to be up on you have to up your game when it comes to using your time. Many friends are going to call you, let's go out, let's do this. But I'll tell you, that is only the small world. So the small world may be laughing when you are engaging in particular things that are empowering you and helping you to become a better person. They may laugh, but the big world will be cheering you on. And remember, we are watching you. So it matters who is recommending you. Mind the circles where you are known. That is family, that is church, and other social circles where you actually participate. People are watching you. And somebody can easily say, this girl or this boy has some potential in them. Let me see if I can engage them. You know, so try to implement what you've learned. This is when knowledge becomes potential power. What do you learn when you listen into such calls? What are you putting into practice? That is also very critical. And then also to remind ourselves, muscles are not built in one day. So don't give up on the goal. There is a gentleman who shared with me. He went to Chambogo. He came from Bunyoro, I've forgotten the district, and he told himself when he stepped in Chambogo and said, I will never go back. Because he was an orphan, he said, I'm going to be in Chambogo until I finish my degree. And after getting my degree, I have to get a job. And he set himself a target that he was going to apply for 500 jobs. And by the time he's through with it, he will definitely have a job. So he would go, each time there was, there were forums or, I've forgotten, you know, especially at, what is it? Uma Showgrounds. He would go there and look out for these companies and leave his application there. So let's focus on that goal. I want a job. If you don't have a job, the job you have is to look for one. Then the other thing is to focus more on the person you are becoming more than the money. Many young people desire to have the money, so they have money and then they can talk about, I earned so much, but focus on the person that you want to become. Focus on those competencies and skills that you're empowering yourself with. The money may be little, but if you're still in your parents' home, there's no point of you moving out when you can actually be in your parents' home, empower yourself with the skills, and when you're ready to move on, you will actually move out of that home. It's never too late. Then tips to handle pressure that comes with transition from university. Make friends with your role models for guidance. Intentionally look out for these people. If Mr. Sabit is your role model, look out for him. When the mentee appears, the mentor shows up. The mentor shows up. I can only engage you if you actually appear. To succeed, choose to be faithful, have integrity, be available, and be teachable. Because people may hear your words, but they feel your attitude. Oh, I want to be this. Oh, I want to excel this. But we shall feel your attitude to see actually if you're up to the task. The other thing is how to handle pressure. Sharpen your mental picture towards what you want to achieve. Motivation will ebb away, but inspiration will stay. What you see is what you get. What do you see? Sharpen that mental picture. This is what I want. It will give you clarity of vision. The other thing, allow yourself to make mistakes when you are still in a smaller space. Because a mistake that makes you humble is better than an achievement that makes you arrogant. And I've seen this where you get students who have got first class or upper second, and everybody, you know, kind of boosts their ego that, well, they're on top of the world. But at the end of the day, they come off as extremely arrogant. And I don't want to engage somebody who's arrogant. I want somebody who is teachable, who is available, and actually who has integrity and ready to work hard. Incubate your goal until it hatches. I want to achieve this by age 35. I want to achieve this by age 40. The bigger the goal, the longer it may take. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't dream big. Dream big or the time. I was asked to share my experience up to today. And I want to tell you, when I left university, they always say that good manners will open doors where the best education cannot. When I had just finished university, one of my lecturers, and these were simple things that I used to do, and I did them unknowingly, but that's the way I had been raised. I would never pass my elders without saying hello. When we were growing up, we would greet our teachers. So I would always greet my lecturers. Good morning, sir. Good afternoon, sir. As we're entering the lecture room, as we're, moving in the corridors. And one of my lecturers spotted me. So they wanted somebody who would come back to teach. The Institute of Languages had a new program, and they wanted somebody who would teach, somebody who had just finished university. And I just left university 1 week, and a week later I was back in university, and that was my first job at the Institute of Languages. And this is the recommendation. She said that according to me, she seems to be an extremely humble girl, willing to learn, and engaging her. She must be a good person, a very well-behaved girl. But it was just greeting, nothing more. I don't think that she knew me more than that. But then that helped me get my first job. And then I had a great attitude. While I was there, I was determined to learn because I didn't know, I wasn't prepared well to engage in this new job. But the people I found there who were working there already, I was willing to learn from them. Now, in the process, while I learned from them, I began taking certain tasks from them. And this is what helped me to get my second job. One of the students, the husband was actually the administrator at the International Committee of the Red Cross. And he invited the husband to meet me. And I told him, but I'm computer illiterate. I don't even know how to use the computer. And he said, I don't care. What I see a person with a great attitude. You'll be willing to learn. So that's how I got my second job. And I stayed in the ICRC, International Committee of the Red Cross, for 15 years. And where I started, I kept rising and being promoted up to being the head of the Human Resource Department. But while I was there, I started preparing for my retirement. I was very intentional about it because I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I wanted to have a school, engage with young people, empower them, coach them, mentor them to become the best versions of themselves. That is what I wanted to do. And I knew that being employed will not give me that capacity. So I worked hard to keep my job so that my job could finance my dream. That is where I got the money for us to start the school with my spouse. And for him, he left earlier. He had worked with USAID and Bank of Uganda. I left earlier. And today, both of us are at the school. And we are both running in the spaces of where our talents are actually aligned. Before I left, I prepared for 3 years before my departure. And this is what I tell people. Yes, you could be talented. Yes, this is your passion. Prepare yourself. Because getting out, the first 5 years of nurturing your dream may not be very easy years. But because you are passionate and because you prepared well, you will be able to sustain yourself even while you're in the field. Purpose unfolds gradually. Where I started from when I left work, I have shifted, and so much I've added on to the person that actually I tend to be. I keep growing and becoming better and better. Then lastly, we encourage you to have an open mind. Pursue spiritual intelligence. Get to know God. God has a purpose for your life. You cannot say, I'm going to do this. And the person who has the blueprint, who is going to help you advance in life, is not a part of the entire program. So let's pursue spiritual intelligence. Let's pursue emotional intelligence, the way we relate with people, because our destiny helpers are within the relationships that are there. One person is going to connect you to another person. Somebody is discussing you at the table. Is this the person that we want? Will you really be able to work with them? So let's manage our emotions. Let's pursue in transformational intelligence. Let's desire to become better people. So intelligence and change start from within. These are the decisions that you have to make on your own. Character will be formed in obscurity in accordance to the values you uphold, and that will form your habits, and this is your personal responsibility. So I want to pose the question, even with having an open mind, what are your dreams as a person? What are your aspirations? What is your identity? What are you known for? What are your values? Transformation is a journey. And like Michelle Obama said in her book, Becoming, we are all becoming the ideal person we desire to be and to stay relevant in our spheres of influence. So let's have a long-term perspective, and with consistency, tenacity, and determination, we shall not only be working towards leaving legacies, but probably will end up being legends. Just like Usain Bolt said, if I become a legend, that is what that matters most. We all have the capacity, and the decision lies within each one of us. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Wow, that was powerful enough. Thanks very much, Mrs. Alice Damulila, for such a wonderful presentation. I do believe the girl child has picked something from this wonderful conversation. Wow. All right. Okay. Keep the comment coming through. After our last panelist, Mr. Gaston Byamgisha, we shall be able to pick them and throw them back to the panelists in the Q&A in a few minutes to come. That was Mrs. Alice Damulila, the co-director of St. Mark's College in Namagoma, an entrepreneur, because today we're always talking about, entrepreneurs, and the universities are hubs of entrepreneurship skills and knowledge. So what happens next? So she's an entrepreneur, she has been an employee, she's an employer, so she has a vast knowledge when it comes to career path, especially after the university. I love the experience shared. Thanks very much. Now at this particular moment, allow me to invite Mr. Gaston Byamgisha. Is our own in the university, one of the senior lecturers at the Department of Psychology. So welcome, Mr. Gaston.
Thank you very much, Adrian. I'm hoping that you're hearing me.
Yes, you're clear.
Thank you very much. I want to start by echoing what Tim said and what Alice said. All the people that are on this platform, you are not in existence at this particular time in history by accident. You are alive at a time such as this by design. That means that you have what it takes to live a life of significance in your generation. So you have what it takes to live a life of significance in your generation. So I'm going to take you through the questions I've always asked myself as I walk through life. The questions I asked myself when I was young and beginning to work. And those are the questions I'm going to give you, and I'll ask you to ask yourselves the same questions. The first question I asked myself when I was beginning to get out of school and beginning to go out to work was this: what is the most urgent problem? What is the most urgent issue with regard to my generation when it comes to psychology at that time? What was the most urgent problem? What was the most pressing issue of my time at that time? And when I got two options, when I was beginning to get out to work, I got two options. I had an option to teach in Mbarara University. I had an option to teach in ITech Kyambogo now. And that question, what is the most pressing problem of our generation, helped me to make the choice between the two institutions. Now, when I started to work within ITech, then I still asked myself, what is the most urgent problem? What is the most compelling problem of my generation with regard to my area of specialty? And at that time, the most urgent problem was counseling. And I chose to leave the other areas of psychology and focus on counseling. And I will tell you, I have been, I've seen the counseling profession grow from a no course at all to a few students, now to PhDs. And I'm going to exit the teaching a very happy man, because I was part of the growth of that process. So what I want to challenge our young people who are listening: what is the most urgent what is the most compelling problem of your generation? And I repeat, what is the most pressing problem? What is the most pressing challenge of your generation, specifically with your career? Now, I want to say this. Many of you who have ended up with a degree in counseling does not mean that you are supposed to become a counselor, because remember, there was no career guidance before. So you ended up in a counseling course by some factor. However, the skills that you have acquired as a counselor are transferable to other areas of life. So that does not mean that you have lost. The skills that you acquired here helped you to move into another area. I love what Tim Sabit said earlier. As an engineering student, I'm very sure that the training he received, or the thinking that he was I don't know how to put it, that the way he was trained to think as an engineer probably helped him to make business decisions. So the mathematics, the mechanics might not have been useful, but the thinking, the thinking of a scientist, the thinking of a technologist probably helped him, or still helps him, to make some business decisions. So your course in counseling, even when you choose to go into another area, the thinking, the philosophy, the skills that you have acquired should be able to help you transfer them into another area of life. Question number 2. What have the people, or your predecessor, the people who came before you, what have they done about the problem? So in your particular profession, if you want to choose counseling, if you want to go into business, what have the people before you done about it? What have your predecessors done? And once you've asked yourself what the predecessors have done, then the question will help you to see the gaps of what they did. So as I said, when I was beginning to work, and I looked at the psychology field at that time, and I said the most pressing problem was counseling. And this is the time of HIV, at the peak of HIV infection in Uganda. And that's the direction I took. What were my predecessors? There are a few other people who helped me find my bearing, and there are many, but I won't get into that direction. But what have the people who came before you done? And from what they have done, what are the gaps that you could fill? What are the gaps? Remember, those gaps will point you to a job opportunity. They will point you to a business opportunity, the things that have been left undone. And then question number 3, how well are you equipped for this challenge, for the most pressing challenge of your time? How well equipped are you to deal with these challenges? When you ask that question, then it helps you to see what you are lacking. What course do I do? And thankfully for you guys, you are living in the best time ever when it comes to knowledge sharing. Excuse me. When it comes to knowledge sharing, you are living in the best time. When I was struggling my first time to create a counseling course in Kyambogo, there were even no books in the library. There was no internet. And I remember I was helped by a lady who was a Peace Corps volunteer who had some training, and she was in Uganda as a visitor. But for you today, by a click on YouTube, you can find a course on anything. You can find a course that will teach you on practically anything that you want to study. So in the meantime that you are waiting for your job opportunity, in the meantime that you are waiting for all this, what are you using the technology for? What are you doing? What are you doing with your phone? With your WhatsApp? Are you using it to build yourself? Or are you using it for what most people do? And that is waste time. So how well equipped are you for the challenges of your time? If that should help you to point out the skills that Tim mentioned earlier that you may be lacking, or the skills that you need to develop. What are some of those skills that you need to develop? What's your talent? What is that when you are doing it, time passes, time flies? So that question should help you answer that question. What is it that I'm lacking? What is it that I need to do? Where do I need to build myself? What do I need to add in relation to addressing the most challenging problem of my time. And question number 4, whom can I partner with? Whom do I work with? Now, whom we can partner with may be a mentor, somebody who has walked the journey and can help you find the ropes. When I was going through my time, I met very many people along the way that helped me to move from one level to the other. And I always had one thing: I was young, I had the time, I had the energy. If you told me carry these boxes, I would carry them. If you told me sweep here, I would sweep. Because I always saw myself as the youngest in the group, and therefore the most readily available to handle all the small jobs around. And that made it easy for me to work with the people who are older than me, and they started giving me opportunity. And they would send me, go and talk to the students in that school. This man says, I'm not able to go for this meeting, can you represent me? And in that way, I started developing the network, I started meeting new people, I started growing as an individual. So, whom are you going to partner with? Whom are you going to work with? Which platform do you need to be able to make a contribution with regard to the most compelling problem of your time? And as I said, which platform do you need? Which people do you need to work with? Who is going to be your mentor? Who is going to help you find your way around the different problems that you're going to be facing? And I will tell you, when you are an inquisitive, hardworking young person, there are very many people willing to help you. But as Ali said, if you are the arrogant one who think because you have a first class, you are entitled to certain things, then you're in trouble. We are looking for humility. We are looking for people who are ready to work. We are looking for people who are willing to learn. We are looking for people who are ready to go the extra mile in order for them to get the next level. One of the biggest challenges I've seen as an employer in Uganda is that life has not become so difficult to the extent that we value our work. Somebody comes to work today, you tell them that they are late, and then they say, they have not chased me from our home. I'll go back and eat my father's food. And so you become a poor employer because you are not valuing your work. Your boss talks you sharply and say, they have not chased me from home. I'll go back. So until we get a time where we look at the opportunities to work as opportunities for developing ourselves, as opportunities for developing the skills, as opportunities for us to meet different people that are going to help us, we are going to continue having a problem. And as I said, one of the biggest challenges I have with Ugandan workers is that attitude where the work is not highly valued. After all, when they go back home, there is food. And then lastly, what's going to be your role in addressing the struggles that people are experiencing today? So remember, we are talking about the most challenging situation. So what's going to be your role in helping people in addressing their most challenging situations of today? And within that is a job. Within that is a business. Remember, business is about problem solving. Solve my problems and I pay you. And so do for me this job and I pay you. But if you cannot do for me the job, if you cannot solve my problem, then what am I paying you for? So what is going to be your role in solving the problems that people are experiencing today? And you can interpret all these questions in relation to the profession you've chosen. So put them in against each of the profession. Today, the biggest problem with counseling, for example, is not counseling courses. We have enough of them. The biggest challenge is not which university to go to, because of many universities offering courses in counseling. The question now for your generation, what is the most pressing problem or most pressing challenge with regard to the counseling profession for those of you who want to remain in the counseling profession? But as I said earlier, remember, the skills you've acquired while studying as a counselor are transferable into other areas of life, especially areas of life that involve you dealing with people. I have met some of our former students who are successful salespeople because they are applying the skills they learned as counselors to listen to their clients, to be able to be of value to people like that. So Adrian, I would want to stop here, and I want to reiterate the questions. Question number 1, what is the most challenging problem of our time? What is the most challenging problem of our time? What is the most challenging problem of our time? Number 2, what have the people that came before us done about that problem? What have the people that came before us done about the problem? If you allow me put in the context of Kyambogo, now that we have new people like Adrian as our new staff, younger staff, not new really, but younger staff, the question is, what did we, the ones who came before you, what did we do? And what did we fail to do? So that should probably show you the areas that need your attention, and probably how you can find the relevancy in that. And then 3, how well equipped are you in dealing with those problems? Do you have any skill gaps? Do you have any knowledge gaps? And if there are skill gaps, take the responsibility to train yourself in handling those skills, in handling those problems. And as I said, the time in which you are living, guys, knowledge is everywhere. You find it on your phone. Pick your phone and teach yourself about almost everything that you want to know. So that wasn't the case. I remember some of us were born before computers. So there was a time you could not go to your phone because the phones we had were not internet enabled. They were not smartphones. They were those button phones. So make yourself better by developing the skills, the talents, the knowledge that you will need to deal with the most pressing problem of your time. And then lastly, whom are you going to partner with? Whom are you going to work with? Which mentors do you need? Which platform are you going to use to address those particular problems? If you don't address these problems, then you are going to get into the life of go to work, come back home. That's when you find a job. Go to work, come back home. Find someone, get married to the person who, not necessarily the one who you love, but marry the one who is available and willing to marry you. And then you produce 3 kids, because everyone produces 3 kids. Probably buy a car at that, I don't know at what time that car will be. If it is the current times, maybe this would be a wish. And then maybe build a house and then retire and die. The question that remains unanswered, why did God bring you into existence at a time such as this? Thank you very much. Back to you, Adrian.
Thanks very much, Mr. Gaston Byamugisha, for that wonderful presentation. Very intriguing questions to reflect on, especially at these times when we young people don't love to reflect. I don't know why we don't reflect. I love the idea of technology, what we use technology for. That's something very intriguing. And I do believe that the people on this call will have to appreciate and reflect on those questions, which are very life-changing for the very many people on this call. Thanks very much for those people who are viewing us via YouTube channel and those who are direct on this call. Now the floor is open for the Q&A because we are remaining with only 16 minutes to end this for those. And then for those who would have missed this presentation, it will be saved on the YouTube link people are using currently to follow the proceedings of what's happening here. Now, I would love to go through the chat room and try to see what people are saying. Okay, someone's called Claire and Diona is saying, thank you, mentors, for grooming the young generation. I believe many are inspired. Guess Isaac is just appreciating. Okay, I'm looking at the presentaries right here. Let me go through some of them here. My question to Mrs. Damolida, what else can someone do to attract positive attention, whether in school or out, since people are always watching, as she said? Like, because of her greeting character, she was recommended to be a junior lecturer. Thank you. That goes to Mrs. Damria from Emmanuel Butukirile on this call. Mrs. Damria, can you answer that?
Thank you so much, Mr. Kakinda, and thank you so much, Emmanuel, for that that question. You said how, just a minute, because I think I can see the chat myself. How do you attract positive attention? Yeah, great. How do you attract positive attention? Now, one of the beautiful things about life is that most of the priceless things are the things that we can actually be able to afford at no cost. For example, what does it take to be humble? What does it take to be kind? What does it take to be polished? That when you find a student, going through the corridor with a lecturer and
Mrs. Alice, have I lost you? Probably. Is anyone hearing Mrs. Alice? Probably. I'm not getting. Okay. Mrs. Alice, I think your network has buffered a bit. All right. Let me look for some other question right here. Okay, Namato Lilian was asking for the contact for Mrs. Alice. Okay, let me see. Some pleasantries, people appreciating. Okay, someone was also re-echoing what Mrs. Alice was saying, that dress the way you want to be addressed. That was intriguing. That was from Emmanuel again. Great teacher, Mrs. Alice. My question to Mr. Sabit is, what are the vital skills one needs currently to be of value at a workplace? I think he discussed that, but I think Mr. Tim Sabit, you can re-echo some few skills that one need, and they are the skills people have not got from the university perhaps. What are the skills that one needs currently to kickstart his career path after university? That is from Serubiri Robert. Yeah. Mr. Tim, over to you.
Hello, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Yes, I thank you so much for that question. I think I somehow try to address it, but I can still go ahead and address it, since he's asked the same question about what kind of skill sets do you need. I think one thing that is inevitable is the fact that when you get out in the space out there, you will always find a problem that needs to be solved. It is the problem that you solve that eventually becomes a skill. Now, I talked about that in relation to passion. Passion is what you can do effortlessly. But again, we can develop other skill sets to help the passion even become a lot better. So when you get out, I usually say this to some of my students, most especially in the business. People come to me and they're interested in either small startups, or they have some money and they don't know what to do with it, or they're looking for something to help them start off somewhere. I usually tell them, walk on the streets, look around you. What is there that needs to be solved? What kind of problem is on the streets that needs your help, that needs your attention? You can never go wrong by solving someone's problem. And that's how we develop skills. Now, when you are zeroing down to a particular skill set, it depends on the work area that you're in. I think Mrs. Damlida mentioned it when she said, in your work area, you can develop skill sets beyond what you qualified for or beyond what you were employed for. You look out for something else that you can do that can give your employer value. Now, there are so many. All that you need is just to be open-minded and look out for the next opportunity. When you see an opportunity, make use of that opportunity. And before you realize, it is something that has been lacking in the area. Now, for example, where I work or in my line of business, in my broadcast business, we've always discovered new things that we need. For example, there was a time that we needed a content manager, but we didn't know that we actually needed a content manager. And there was this young girl who was just organized. She had never done anything to do with management of content. But because she developed the passion, she saw the need, she kept coming to my office every day. She would say, I can organize this content. I can organize it well that it will air at the right time. I will be realizing for the clients, and I will make sure that all the producers bring in their content at the right time to air at the right time without having any gaps. And that was answer to prayer because we needed someone who could do that. So we created a position for her called content management. As we speak right now, she's so good at her job. Why? Because she saw a problem that needed to be addressed and she was available to fill in the gap and do the job. Today, we have a position of a content manager. And now she has developed the skill and it's serving her. It is paying her. So you can look around your work area, in your workspace, and look for something that is lacking and fill in the gap and do it before you realize it's paying you. Okay? The other, look for a problem to solve. There are so many on the streets of Kampala. In your community, in your neighborhood, there are 1,001 problems that you can solve. And that's how we develop skills. And that's how we serve our community. And that's how we are paid. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much for that. Yeah, I know it's, I'm getting the question that how am I going to, I'm too stressed. This is from Kamia Vincent via the YouTube. How am I going to, I'm feeling stressed with what to do. So how can I control this stress? To me, is asking Mr. Gaston. Mr. Gaston, someone is asking, is very stressed with what to do. How can he control that stress currently?
Thank you very much, Adrian. Somebody making noise. Find a problem in your community and solve it and be part of its solution. And once you become part of solving a problem, then somebody will pay you for it. They'll either pay you as a job, or they'll pay you as a business. This is what I usually ask young people to do. When you've left campus and you don't have much to do, remember you have time and skills. Go and volunteer somewhere. Now, when somebody gives you an opportunity to volunteer, he has given you an opportunity, one, to know which problems are there, and then for you to develop the skill to solve that particular problem. And when you become so good at it, we'll have no opportunity but to keep you there. So one of them is find a problem in your community and volunteer to solve it. And once you have volunteered to solve it, you are developing skill, you are developing understanding, you are identifying your talents, you are identifying your gifts. And then once you become so good at it, then you'll be paid for it.
Yeah, thanks very much. Someone called Nakawi Roda posed the question again via the other platform. And this question goes to Mrs. Alice Damolida, that I have negative attitude towards volunteering because of the costs that are involved. What's your comment about volunteering? And actually, Mr. Gaston had also brought it up. I think you can add some comments on volunteering. Someone is saying I have negative attitude, maybe is having some recent her recent past when it comes to volunteering may not be good. But what's your comment about volunteering, especially for the fresh graduates? Mrs. Alice.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Kakinda, for that. And I want to appreciate the person who has asked that question. People many times have a negative attitude about volunteering, and probably we actually misunderstand when it comes to volunteering. But volunteering is a very good space to start. One, like I said, there is no employer who is going to pay for your mistakes. But when you get an opportunity to volunteer and you prove beyond reasonable doubt that you're a teachable person, you could probably work like for 3 months or 4, and then people feel that they want to engage you more. It will start probably with a transport allowance and food. Then they'll keep on remunerating you depending on how well you've allowed yourself to grow. So if you make yourself teachable, if you make yourself available, that even just having that opening, that somebody has allowed you to come and begin volunteering, it is a good space to build your skills and competencies. So look more at what you're going to gain out of it in terms of skills and competencies that will earn you a great job, other than seeing that you are working for free. You have to start from somewhere. All of us start from somewhere. Thank you.
All of us start from somewhere. You can't start from nowhere. Thanks very much. Now let me cross over to people who have put up their hands. I'm seeing Peter Kavland, Seluvili. You come first, and then Emma Freeman will come next. You've raised up your hand. Just in a few seconds, and unmute and ask your question. Direct it to any panelist of your choice.
My name is Peter Calviland Seruvide. I'm a member of staff here, Chambogo University Department of Languages and Communication. I would like to thank you very much for this opportunity. I would like to add my voice as a former student of Chambogo University, and now proud to be part of the staff. I am an alumnus. I specialize in English language and communication skills. And what I would like to add is the importance of communication to our graduates. What you say is as important as how you say what you say. Politeness in communication, politeness. Things like may I, things like thank you, things like I wonder if I could you please, could you possibly, things like that. Politeness, interpersonal skills. Because of time, I might not be able to illustrate a lot, but what cannot be overemphasized is the partners of communication skills, interpersonal skills. How do you say what you'd like to say? How do you write what you'd like to write? How do you approach people with utmost decorum? Thank you very much. I submit.
Thanks very much, Mr. Peter Seruvide, for that wonderful addition. Emmanuel Freeman, your hand is up.
Okay. Hello. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank each and everyone that has taken time to prepare for us. Madam Alice, I thank you very much for your presentation. Mr. Sabit, your presentation was wonderful. And Mr. Kakinda, thank you for always being in line to mentor us and mentor the different students of this generation to see how best to get there. Mr. Gaston, thank you very much for your presentation. And mine is just an addition to what Madam Alice has said. When you're volunteering, don't just volunteer anywhere, in any office, in anywhere. Personally, I've volunteered in counseling places. I've been a graduate. I'm a graduate actually right now, but when I was still a student, I've been volunteering in different places. Now, when I get out to the job world, I know people are going to be looking for work experience. I've been to these different places. I've gotten recommendations from them, and now where they ask for 2-year experience, personally now I have a 3-year experience in the kind of work I'm doing. But I started this experience right before when I was still in campus. I see some students here that are still in campus and they're still studying. Don't wait to finish graduating and you get a paper so that you start doing something. Evolve yourself. And Mr. Gaston said you should have connections with people. Like you should always open up yourself to people that are in your professional. You look out for people that are doing what you want to do, and then they mentor you. You get a mentor. So I also put that too much in it because Mr. Gaston has mentored me. Mr. Kakindarian has mentored me. I remember Mr. Sabiti when they used to come for the coach trainings, and we've learned a lot. So if you always push yourself to knowledge, you will get it. There's nothing that is going to look for you. Mr. Gaston is not going to come out of his home and look for you to come and do something. So I may not talk much about that, but I'm very, very grateful for what you people have done. And I pray we keep on having these continuously. It can be monthly or even weekly, so that we help the generation become something. Thank you very much. I remain Emmanuel Freeman.
All right, thanks very much for that addition. Our time is out. I think let me take one concern, either it's a question or concern from Deogracius Kauchi. You've raised your hand. And lastly, Serubiri Robert, then we shall close this call. Kauchi, you can come first.
Yes, thank you, dear host, for this opportunity to speak to the rest of the other people. I only have one question to Mrs. Alice Damrida. We live in a degenerated society where camouflaging is one of the master traits of both men and women. How are we going to build a sense of insight of have a litmus test?
Kauchi, come again. I doubt whether Mrs. Alice has got your question. Kauchi, can you come again, please? I doubt whether Mrs. Alice got your question. All right, maybe he's having network issues. I saw a hand from, was it? Oh, all right. So I think someone finally put the hand down. All right, let me give my panelists each 1 minute to give a closing remark as we are winding up this call. I'll start with Mr. Tim Sabiti, your closing remarks on this particular topic. Then I'll come to Mrs. Alice Damrida. Then I'll end with Mr. Gaston. Your closing remark on this question, what next after campus?
Yes, thank you so much, my brother Kakinda. I want to appreciate Gaston. I know he is one of them that made my wife Bahati Hilda. So I appreciate you, Gaston, for everything that you did in helping my wife become who she is. And then I want to appreciate I've met Alice today. I've never met Alice. I thank you so much. It was quite a great presentation. And to Kakinda, thank you so much for organizing this. My last remarks on this: Uganda is generally a very, very young nation. I was going through the statistics and I discovered that Uganda, 70% of our population is 25 years and below. Can you believe it? I think we could be among the top 3 youngest countries in the world. That means we have a lot of work to do. Anyone who is in their fourth level, 40 years and above, you have a lot of work to do. And as far as influencing the next generation is concerned, we have a lot of work to do. So whether you influence one person or 2 people, for as long as you can reach out to someone, reach out to your community and try to help, you'll be doing a great job. So for people like you, Kakinda, I really appreciate when you come up with such. We appreciate, we really do. Please organize more and we'll be available to do the best that we can to shape our generation in the way they should go. Thank you so much and God bless you.
God bless you too, Mr. Tim Sabiti, and thanks for the 2 hours you've given us. It's quite a lot. We thank you very much. We appreciate. And you know, for us at Kyambogo University, we love dangerously. So we love you too. And say hi to Mrs. Hilda Bahati Sabiti for us. Mrs. Alice, your closing remark on this question.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kakinda. I also want to take this opportunity to appreciate my fellow panelists for these wonderful presentations that they've given to us and the challenging experiences that we've had this morning. It has been a great webinar for me. And I hope to engage and actually meet you in person, and not only virtually, but going forward, maybe I'll have the opportunity to meet you in person. The other thing is that Emmanuel said because of his network, he wasn't able to get more of what I had to say about having positive attraction. But like I said, whatever makes us positive, it's priceless but it costs only your commitment to being that person. Just like Peter said about communication, the way you communicate, being respectful, being polite, being diligent. When they give you a task, how well do you execute it? You know, time management. You know, Mr. Gaston says, let's be there at 2. You come at 4 and say, sir, I'm very sorry, I had jam. And when he was there waiting for you for the last 2 hours, he will not take you seriously. I just want to tell you that being committed, being hardworking, and you should always remind yourself that somebody is watching you, and you can never hide a good person. If you're a good person, if you're polite, if you're humble, if you're diligent, if you're hardworking, people are watching you and they're actually going to commend you, to recommend you. So my last remarks on all this is that network purposefully. Look out for the spaces where you want to operate and network purposefully. Reach out to these people. Give them a service, even if it's at no cost. When you do it well, they'll actually engage you. And then mind your brand. Young people, we have a tendency of abusing our social media platforms. But believe me, if somebody wants to get to know a little more of who you are, they'll get into your social media space. And if you have not branded well, then probably you are going to lose out. And technology does not forget. That's one thing we should remember. So be mindful of the social media space, brand yourself right. Don't waste time, network on purpose. I know that the sky is the limit for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Mrs. Alice Damulila. Send our regards to the entire board and staff of St. Mark's College in Namaguma. And perhaps one day we shall meet physically, just like you've said. It's just the beginning. Why not? Thanks very much for your time indeed, since actually you came earlier around 9:30. Thanks for your time on this fresh Monday, for sharing with the young population on this call. Over to you, Mr. Gaston, your closing remark on this question.
Thank you very much, Adrian. I want to re-echo one point, that the current generation may look confused, may look difficult, but if this is your generation, you have what it takes to make a meaningful contribution to them. So you are not alive at this point in time by accident. You are alive at a point such as this by design. And so you already have the talents, you already have the gifts, you already have the know-how to make a meaningful contribution to your generation. And the more problems there are to solve, the more opportunities for business, the more opportunities for things to do like that. And I wanted to echo the point that Alice ended with, social media. Social media, many people go there, but they don't know what they're looking for. But social media right now is the biggest marketing space. Right now, I have one of our former students whom I'm paying to promote one of my businesses. And what I did was check what followership did she have, how many people does she have on her space. And I'm paying her right now to just promote my business on her space. So all those are opportunities that we can tap into. There are courses, there are different online training institutions, Udacity, Udemy, Coursera, and many others, and they offer free courses, short courses, free ones, some for paying. Spend time, use your technology to develop yourself. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. You know, people have various questions, have very many questions because they've been intrigued to reflect on their lives. That's very pertinent, and perhaps that was one of the key objectives of this webinar. Thanks very much, all the staff of Department of Psychology and of Kyambogo University at large. Thanks very much for joining through. I'm Dr. Mayengo Nathan. I've seen you. Mr. Balugahari Vincent, I've seen you. Then I'll have to give Dr. Jane Namsoke on behalf of the boss of the department to say something as we wind up this, and then we shall end with a prayer, probably from Yvonne Nakawesa. Yes, you volunteer and give us a closing prayer, and then we'll leave at leisure. So Dr. Jane Namsoke, something on behalf of the head of department to everyone on this call. Okay. She seems not. Maybe some issues. Dr. Nathaniel Mayengo, I think you can say something to us, and as we vacate this place. All right. Probably they're not there. All right. Now let's have a closing prayer for such, and for those. Anyway, someone was asking for someone was asking for the contacts for our panelists this morning. Let me try to share before you leave, and let me share the numbers here. So that's the contact for Mrs. Alice Damlida, and the phone number. Hope you seeing that, so you can contact her on that line. I've already seen people in the comments box saying that, Madam Alice, can I be your mentee? Yes. Probably you can talk to her. That's the number. Hope you've taken it. You can get a screenshot for those who are using their phones, and then you can record it later. Now, that's mine. Yes, that's mine. And let me look. That's mine. Let me. That's for Mr. Gaston. If you want to reach him. That's for Mr. Gaston. If you want to reach him. And for Mr. Tim. You can ideally write 0752 322 455. 0752 322 455. Let me call on Yvonne Nakawesa to pray for us as this webinar.
Dear loving Father, we thank you so much for today. We thank you so much that you brought us together like this. We thank you, Father Lord, for the panelists. We thank you so much, Father Lord, for one who had the idea to organize this, because, Father Lord, we needed it. Dear Lord, Father, as we live here, would you kindly please guide us, lead us through, Father Lord, whatever that has been said here, Father Lord, guide us and let us put it into practice. Let it not only remain here, Father Lord, as everyone goes back to their work, guide us, lead us, Father Lord, bless us with big job opportunities, Father Lord, bless us with the best character, bless us, Father Lord, with the best employers, best mentors, and yes, so that your name is glorified forever and ever. Amen.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for that prayer. All right, now let's live at peace, at leisure, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good day, sir.
Bye. Good day to you.
Madam Ali, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Mr.
Have a great day too.
Mr. Sabdi. Madam, bye-bye.
Wait, but I have tomorrow.